Alright, let's be honest. The education system is kinda BS. It's overpriced, designed to take your money and put you in a lot of student loan debt for a piece of paper that's often worth very little in the real world, with skills you could have learned online for free, faster, right this minute. And look, I hate to be that guy, but you're learning a lot of useless crap. You could have been building a business, you could be making money, but the elites want you stuck. They want you in their system and the schools want your money. But there's nothing wrong with education. And what nobody's telling you is the big secret, which is that top universities are quietly giving away their courses for free while other people are paying for them. So today I want to break down the 12 university courses that are better than most paid degrees, and I'll explain why these are so good and how they can boost your career and your salary in the future. And look, I'm kind of putting my own safety on the line here, but I'm willing to pay the price because if everybody knew this, not as many people would pay for college, and that day is coming soon. So drop a like before this video mysteriously disappears, and then you all know why. Alright, so first up, you know how it feels like everyone's kind of broke? Like how the economy is going to shit, everything's expensive, it's hard to make ends meet with a regular job anymore, and people are taking on like 2-3 jobs just to survive, while at the same time I see all these rich people get richer with billions to their name. Look, I'm not trying to get political here, but there's clearly something going on. The rich are kind of taking over and the rest are getting poorer, and that is a fact. So what can we do and how can we stop this? Well, regardless of your side, can we just agree that politics is a mess and that we need to take action ourselves? We need to educate ourselves about money, because education means opportunity. The right education, I should say. And rich people have been gatekeeping knowledge for centuries. They kind of pass it down in their families, and that's why they keep getting richer and richer. And rich people already know all this stuff, but most of us regular people don't. That's why if we don't educate ourselves, we don't have a chance. So the best place to go is the financial markets course. Now, this professor has actually received a Nobel Prize for his work. And it's not a guru selling you a scam crypto forex trading course. It's literally from one of the best professors in the entire world on this subject, who's been studying economics for, I don't know, 5 decades. I don't know how old he is, I'm sorry. And you get to learn stocks, bonds, house prices, loans, even things like crypto, how these work and how to use them in your favor to build your future, your wealth, and protect yourself from rich people buying up all of your homes. Okay, so I did get kind of political, but I don't care, somebody had to say it. Now, a big concern people have is they think it's super difficult, all this financial stuff. That's why they never bother learning it in the first place. But in this case, it's made for complete beginners. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to know anything about finance at all. And that's kind of the best part. There is no gatekeeping. You don't need to pay for business school. You don't need to get an MBA. You don't need to be born into a rich family, although that kind of helps, you know? Anybody can learn this stuff. And the best part is I actually took the entire thing myself and I learned a ton, so I can definitely recommend this course. And I'll give it a score of 9 out of 10. All right, so number 2 is gonna be Harvard's CS50. But one second, because everybody's lying about this course. I've seen all sorts of influencers say the most ridiculous crap, like, oh, it's so easy, you can just get a job with CS50, it's the best course in the world, easy, easy, easy. Maybe 10 years ago, maybe that was the case then. CS50 is a fantastic course. For those of you who don't know it, it's called Introduction to Computer Science, and it's one of the top-rated courses ever. And the goal is to help you break into IT and programming. And it's the same course students take at the real paying Harvard University. And you get access to the entire thing online for free. Lectures, assignments, readings, everything for free. If you went to Harvard and took the same course, or the entire program, here's what it would cost you. And these are not my numbers, these are actually their numbers. I'm not making this stuff up. It's $59,000 a year in just tuition fees, getting an uncomfortable seat in the classroom. It would also cost $25,000 in rent, food, etc. And that is $86,000 just to get a piece of paper times 4 years. So it's starting to get pretty expensive. And who can defend this? That's why CS50 is so cool. You get pretty much the same thing for free, but even better today, we have something called CS50 specializations, making it really so much better. It also means that you don't have to take the long, boring, basic CS50. You can take a shorter version made specifically for you, teaching you something else. If you want to make websites, if you want to work with AI, if you want to pet horses, I don't know, then CS50 has a version for you. Here's an example. CS50 Computer Science for lawyers. Yes, lawyers. Now, why the heck would a lawyer learn about computers? Because they can understand tech better, and they could be a lawyer for Microsoft, for example. Another course is CS50 Intro to Databases. Perfect if you want to work in data, you want to become a data analyst, data scientist, all that stuff. So I'm going to give CS50 a score of, let's say 8 out of 10, but definitely check out these specializations. Okay, now let me ask you something weird. I don't know if it's weird, but you tell me in the comments. Have you ever laid awake at like 3-4 a.m. and thought, what's the point of life? Why do I even exist? Does anything really matter? I'm not trying to be the next Socrates here, but seriously, we spend years of our lives in the machine. We think about work, taxes, all that stuff, but we never really spend time and learn how to think properly, like actually think deeply, clearly for ourselves. So we don't fall into traps, into bad situations, and actually make good choices that bring us the life we want to live. And don't worry, I'm not going to go like just try to sell you a mindset course where I pretend I can solve all of your problems. I really wish I could, but I can't even solve my own problems, and life can be really hard sometimes. That's the truth. But this free MIT course is one of the most important on this list. Now, a disclaimer, it's not going to make you any money, especially right now, but throughout a lifetime, it could make a huge difference in general to your life. And it's called Problems of Philosophy by MIT. And yeah, there's a lot of problems. Now, before you skip this one thinking it's just a bunch of old dudes talking nonsense, I mean, it kinda is, but this course is a little bit different. It's taught by real professors who don't talk down to you. They're clear, modern, and I guess actually engaging. And in a world full of distractions like today, the person who can think clearly is the winner. Now, philosophy is not going to give you the answers, but it gives you the tools to think better, make good arguments, question everything, and not get as easily manipulated. And especially with all the AI fake stuff coming up, we better brace ourselves. So 8.5 out of 10. All right, next up, and I'm gonna get some hate for this. A lot of people say they want to start a business or they want to make money online, but then what's the first thing they do? They set up a website and then just wait. Like it's 2004 and somebody's magically gonna find it. Surprise, surprise, it never works. It doesn't matter if you're running a dropshipping store or if you're selling flowers in your area. If you don't know marketing, nobody is going to see it and nobody's gonna care either. And no, it's not just about becoming a marketer. If you're ever gonna start a business, if you wanna get a promotion, if you wanna be more valuable to your company, you need a little bit of the skill. And it's the digital marketing specialization from the University of Illinois. Now, it's one of the top courses, and all you gotta do is pay a few hundred or a few $1,000s. No. And you're gonna learn how companies like Apple and Nike actually think when they sell you something, and why a t-shirt with a logo like Gucci, which I don't have, could be worth 10 times more than the same t-shirt that I have without a logo, and why people still pay for it. I usually have a problem with schools teaching you like marketing stuff because it's changing so fast, like digital marketing, they don't keep up. But because it's an updated online course, it's updated. 8 out of 10. All right, next we're gonna talk about AI. It's AI this, AI that, can we just stop? But when there's an opportunity, a real opportunity, I think it's kind of worth talking about it. So, do you ever get that feeling that everybody's talking about AI, but you don't even know where to plug into the system in the first place? Where do you start? Yeah, me too. I had no clue what I was doing. But in reality, it's actually not that difficult. And so the next course is not about becoming some AI wizard or scientist, researcher, expert, whatever, the boring stuff. And I call it boring to compensate because I don't understand it. I'm sure it's great fun. Anyway, this is the AI for business specialization. You know, business, the thing that people do. Well, AI is changing a lot of that stuff. And I'm not going to try to scare you. I don't think I'm scary. But if you don't know AI, you are falling behind, and it's time to embrace it before it's too late. Unfortunately. Now, I don't know when it's gonna be too late, I'm just trying to be encouraging here. And this course is by Wharton, which is one of the top 10 business schools in the entire world. And is studying there expensive? Yes, really, really expensive. For their MBA program, you can expect to spend $92,000 per year, and that is why the freaking student loan debt is so high in the US. And they expect you to be spending 40 grand on top of the 92,000 just in living expenses, and that's 132,000 per year. So I'm gonna stop with these numbers before I go crazy. You guys already know what I think about these ridiculous fees. So now when I tell you this course is free, it doesn't sound so bad, does it? And you can finish it in about a month. 8 out of 10. So next up is gonna be public speaking. And I actually hate public speaking. And you're probably thinking, Lucas, BS. You're sitting here talking to a camera all day, posting it on YouTube for thousands of people to see. That's true. I like you guys and I like speaking to you and showing you helpful things. But I don't like being on stages. I don't like doing presentations and all that stuff. But I really like this course. And here's why. It's called Rhetoric, the art of persuasive writing and public speaking. Basically teaching you how to communicate better by analyzing American political speeches from Kennedy, the president, Reagan, and Martin Luther King Jr. It's really interesting to break down their speeches and see how they carefully choose their words to make the biggest impact. Now, you might be thinking, I don't want to get into politics. I don't care about this. Well, maybe someday, but just in case you do have to do it at work or you just want to impress people at a wedding, it's always good to learn. And according to Harvard, this is what they say about public speaking and just learning rhetoric in general. They say, blah, 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 even outside the political sphere, conveying a convincing message can benefit you throughout your personal, public, and professional lives. So that, in my opinion, deserves a 9 out of 10 from the best source out there. All right, so we've talked a lot about data on the channel, like becoming a data analyst, data scientist, etc. But here's the truth, okay? Even if you don't want a single job in data, you still need to know some data stuff because companies are killing for these skills. I mean, I hope they don't actually kill, but you never know with some companies. Now, don't worry, I'm gonna explain what data is and what it means for you. So, data is just information. When you visit websites, your browsing history is data, but your browsing history doesn't mean anything. Whatever you do, that's none of my business. But let's say you're McDonald's, okay? And you have limited menu space. You can only have 10 burgers on the menu at any time. That's obviously not true, but just let me go on with this hamburger thing. So how do you know what burgers do you want to put on the menu? Well, you use data. You see what burgers people are actively buying and you track it and you see which burger is making you the most money. And you can also then predict what burgers people are gonna want in the future and even create new, better burgers. I'm sorry guys, I don't know what's happening to this channel. Anyway, so that is data science. Now you could actually work as a data scientist doing this stuff for McDonald's. I'm sure they have roles for that, but also just take nuggets of this, you see the joke there, into whatever you do to make better decisions. Hold on, I still haven't even mentioned the course. I've just been so focused on the burgers. So, Data Science by John Hopkins. It's a really popular course because that always makes something good, being popular, right? But seriously, it's a great course, top rated and by a very serious university. So go ahead, take this one and have fun. 8 out of 10. All right, so next up is going to be designing your career from Stanford, 100% free. And yes, you heard that right, a course about figuring out your life for free. Meanwhile, real Stanford students are paying 60 grand per year to sit in the same lecture halls. Now, it's basically a course teaching you the stuff that high schools should teach, how to actually figure out your shit and how to actually figure out your career. Now, this course covers design thinking applied to your life. For example, if I acquire this skill, can I secure this job and then get this promotion? If I take this path, I can work from home and I want to do that, etc. All those things that people should talk about, but most don't because nobody teaches it. So 9 out of 10. And alright, so next up is the Introduction to Internet of Things from Stanford School of Engineering. Now, it sounds very complex, I know, but don't let the name scare you. It's literally just the tech behind all of the smart things like smart homes, cars, fridges, Apple Watches, I don't have one of those, regular devices, and things that are connected to the internet. And so that is why they call it Internet of Things, because it's a thing connected to the internet. Makes sense. And this field is growing super fast because everything's being connected to the internet. Like, I mean, literally everything is just being connected to the internet at this point. And that's why there are a lot of jobs in this space open at this minute. Now, this course is not going to make you like the perfect candidate and instantly get you a job. That would be completely false to say, but it's going to introduce you to the field, teach you some of the basics, and you can see if this is something for you. Because it is a huge opportunity. 8.5 out of 10. And then next up is going to be machine learning from Stanford again. Now, this course is on Coursera, and machine learning is this super complex thing that people are generally afraid to speak about and touch. But this one is for beginners, letting anybody get an introduction to machine learning. And the best part is it only takes 2 months to finish part-time. But The question is, why should you even start learning this in the first place if it's so hard? Well, because a career in ML is especially good now in the age of AI, and it's super lucrative. And yes, you will need a lot of more things, but it's a fantastic starting point. So I would definitely recommend it. 8 out of 10. All right, so the next course is going to be entrepreneurship from MIT. Now, in my opinion, learning entrepreneurship at university is kind of a scam. It's like going to college to learn how to drive when you could just get a car and take driving lessons and actually do the thing. But MIT is a very serious institution, and now that the course is pretty much free, it's worth looking into. MIT graduates have also founded companies like Akamai and Dropbox that you might have heard about. And so you can definitely at least learn the fundamentals here. They have 5 free courses, including things like innovation, leadership, patents, negotiation, decision-making, and so on. But I also found the best certificate for high-paying remote jobs, which I cover in this video up next. Click there and goodbye.